Unresolved Problem segment tonight. Every Christmas season, there are people who try to diminish the celebration of Jesus' birthday. We all know it. But we do have a whole bunch of war on Christmas deniers who say that I and others are making the whole thing up. Well, here's the first evidence this year. A billboard put up by an atheist group telling children to skip church on Christmas Day. Nice, right?
Holy Spirit goes in, incarnate deity comes out. You can't explain that. But I'm going to keep calm. It seems legit. Happy holidays, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I am Brendan, the prototype atheist, and this time I'm going to be discussing the war on Christmas. Now, unfortunately, I was unable to participate in the Reason discussion panel last weekend regarding this topic. So, that being the case, I decided to put my thoughts down here. Now, the Christian pseudo-persecution narrative, of course, doesn't take a break during the holidays, so it marches on to the beat of the invented war on Christmas. Now, I don't know exactly when this war on Christmas began, but as far as I can tell, it was completely invented or at least propagated by Fox News and the likes of Bill O'Reilly. Now, I know that for quite some time now, the American Family Association has been putting out their list of naughty and nice retailers and other businesses based upon how they do their advertising, if they make mention of Christmas in their advertising as opposed to Happy Holidays. And so I think that had a lot to do with this whole kind of war on Christmas thing, or at least it contributed to it. Oddly enough, when I was still a Christian, I would, get these emails from the AFA with their naughty and nice list, and I would scoff at these companies that refuse to say Merry Christmas or call a Christmas tree that instead of a holiday tree. But it's all just complete nonsense, really. The simple fact is that this is the holiday season, starting with Thanksgiving at the end of November, and then December is just full of holidays. You have obviously Christmas, but you also have Hanukkah, which is in the Judeo-Christian tradition. You also have New Year's, obviously at the end of December, and then there's other holidays. There's Kwanzaa, whether you want to consider that a legitimate holiday or not, and just basically going back to the original reason for the season, the winter solstice. So you have, Yuletide and the pagan celebrations. And actually, there's a lot of different cultures that had different celebrations at this time of year that have kind of all amalgamated into what we now consider the Christmas in the United States, which has become its completely own secular holiday, apart from the celebration of the birth of Jesus. People have Santa Claus and they sing Christmas carols that talk about dancing snowmen and all this silly and festive things. So to have all these Christians in the United States participate in this completely secularized version of the holiday, which of course can draw its roots back from pagan traditions, is ridiculous, really. And if it was really just about Jesus, then they wouldn't be participating in all this other stuff. But they don't want to give up all that stuff because they enjoy it and it's fun to become part of our culture. Now, I did, mention this in my last video, the fact that the American Atheists had put up these billboards in various locations about a girl who was writing a letter to Santa Claus saying that she doesn't believe in fairy tales anymore, so she doesn't want to go to church. Now, this is not really meant to be an affront to Christmas or Christianity. This is just meant to be put out there to let other atheists know that they're not alone and that they have somewhere they can go for support. It was also an advertisement for the American Atheist Convention coming up next year. So, it served more than one purpose, but it's not an attack on Christmas. I mean, most atheists celebrate Christmas. And, it's funny because a lot of Christians will make this argument that atheists shouldn't take the day off on Christmas, or they shouldn't celebrate Christmas because they don't believe in it. But that's ridiculous because, for one thing, it's a national holiday. And another thing, as I mentioned, it has its own secular version of the holiday. For me, it's about Santa Claus bringing gifts to kids. It's about spending time with friends and family. It's about eating a bunch of stuff that you probably shouldn't be, and just about being festive and having a good time. And do you really need a reason to celebrate? I mean, honestly, it's good to have a day off once in a while where you can just surround yourself with friends and family and happy things and enjoy that. It doesn't have to necessarily be tied to anything. So I'll enjoy Christmas in my own tradition in the own way that I feel is appropriate. And if you believe that Jesus exists and that that's a celebration of his birth, then by all means feel free to do so, even though I don't agree that that's something that actually occurred. So another thing that always comes up is the nativity scenes and Christian displays on government property, on public property, whether it be at a state capitol building or a courthouse or what have you, something along those lines. And Christians will always complain that atheists are putting up their displays as an affront to their, to Christmas because they want to ruin Christmas. It's a war on Christmas. That's simply not the case. The fact of the matter is that we have a secular government, and in all reality, we should not be having any religious displays on government property because that's a government endorsement of a specific religion. However, if we are going to allow religious expression on government property, then all who wish to have representation should be welcome. So, in that spirit, if Christians are going to put up nativity scenes during the holiday season, during the month of December, then atheists or humanists or any other group that has a stance on religion or has a message that they want to present has the opportunity to do so. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an affront to Christmas or Christianity. For example, there's a group, I want to say it's Freedom from Religion Foundation, but don't quote me on that, that puts up a display or has put up a display for the last couple of years here in Chicago downtown at the Daily Center to put their message up about this time of year and the season and separation of church and state and all that. And there's other similar displays that have gone up. In Florida last year, they allowed a Festivus pole, and I think it made out of beer cans. And I think there was also a flying spaghetti monster display. And I know the Satanists, some Satanist group wanted to put up a diorama with an angel falling into the flames of hell, and it was basically just quoting a Bible verse. And it was rejected last year, but actually this year, 2014, the state of Florida has actually approved this. So that's going to be going right up alongside the nativity scene, and that's how it goes. That's if you want to have your message displayed, then you have to allow other messages, whether you like them or not. So if you don't want those things going up, then you shouldn't be putting your message up. The other thing is that as far as these establishments, these businesses saying Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas, they're private businesses, and that's their right to have whatever policy that they want. The most ironic thing about this is that most of these fundamentalist Christians will fervently defend the right of businesses to have a Christian or a religious message. For example, look at everybody who came out in support of Chick-fil-A when their owner or founder came out and made comments about homosexuality and got a lot of negative criticism because of that. They went out in droves to support him and say that it's freedom of speech and all this. But if a company decides that they don't want to say Merry Christmas for whatever reason, maybe because the owners are Jewish or maybe just because they don't want to offend any potential customers and hurt sales in that way, or because they just want to be inclusive, or just because, like I said, there's a lot of holidays during this time of year, so they don't want to be exclusive just to Christmas. Maybe somebody's buying Hanukkah gifts, or maybe, whatever the case may be. That's their right as a private establishment to say Happy Holidays, or to, have a policy that states that their employees must say Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas. So, it's not an affront to Christmas or Christianity or anything of that nature to do that. So, basically, there was an atheist display nearby in the Chicago suburbs that was recently vandalized. And obviously, I don't want to portray all Christians as being, vandals or having this kind of behavior or anything, but it just goes to show the intolerance and that they can't handle an opposing opinion So they you know want their opinion on public property to be displayed, but they can't handle another opinion up there, and they take it as a personal affront when that's not what it is. It's simply a testament to freedom of speech and church-state separation and equal representation and all that. So to summarize, I guess the war on Christmas, it's not something that actually exists. It is just a narrative propagated by Christians who want to continue this idea that they're constantly being persecuted, and that we hate their God and we hate their traditions and all these sorts of things, which just simply isn't the case.
So let's give thanks to the Lord above, 'cause Santa Claus comes tonight.